welcome to Salubrious Skin with Dr. Irene. Today I'm joined by a beautiful woman, both inside and out, and I'm so excited to bring your attention to Iesha because what comes out of her mouth is pure gems. Every time I talk to her, I'm just delighted with what she says and how she shares her knowledge, and I want to share that with you. So Iesha, since 1997, has supported people looking for clarity and support in what inspires their mind, body and soul is reflected in their personal and professional lives. Iesha Transformational Life Coaching is the antidote to lack of direction, exhaustion and anxiety and overwhelm, enabling clients to invest more fully in creating their authentic and integrated lasting happiness and success. Iesha believes all have such amazing potential and possibilities when we connect with our authentic selves and the wisdom we have already. So today we're talking about the happiness recipe, which I think is awesome. I'm so excited to do this. So welcome, Iesha.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Well, you know, happiness is something I talk about very generally in clinic because it's a question I ask. How are you feeling? How are your emotions? Are you feeling happy? You're stable? And you know, the reality is that 99% of people say, oh no, I'm not happy, I'm stable. So to actually be happy is somewhat a mystery to a lot of adults, whereas little kids, you see them, they're happy, they jump around. And I thought it's really important to understand what has happened from a person from childhood to adulthood to not embrace that happiness. So I wanted, before we go ahead, I wanted you to share a little bit about who you are and what you do, and then we'll get into some questions.
Fantastic. And you're so right. I mean, happiness and health are so linked, and people often are almost striving for okay rather than great. You know, they're surviving or I'm coping rather than true joy. So we'll get more into that later. So I do a lot of public speaking and teaching workshops around the idea of genuine, lasting happiness and success. And success is kind of the result of happiness. We can create success without the happiness, but it's not really success. Whereas when we cultivate really genuine happiness, success is this beautiful byproduct. But that's another topic too. So I speak on that. I run workshops on that, online and in person. And I also have a one-on-one practice. I have a program that I work people through individually, which is called Transformation for Life, where I take people through those transitions from, say, low self-esteem or disconnection from knowing their own happiness recipe or circumstances that aren't helping them thrive. And we identify all of that, we get really clear, and then we do the bit that's often missing, which is all of the implementation. So it's not just a great idea, it's something that they can embody and then know how to use.
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah.
That sounds great. Okay, so could you please share a little bit about the happiness recipe? I want to know more about, actually, where do we start? No, let's go back a step. What is it to be happy? What is the feeling to be happy?
Oh, that's an ace question. And to me, I will, for the purpose of this interview, replace the word happiness, because we tend to think of that as like a bit of an elevated state or something like that. And I'll just replace it with the word congruency.
Okay.
So when I talk about congruency, if I'm speaking to someone that that thinks we're more than a meat sack, that has some sort of belief system that includes energy, I would say congruency is when mind, body, heart, and soul are in alignment and they're saying yes to what's happening.
Okay.
For those of you that don't have a belief system that includes energy, I'll say, well, congruency is when your mind and your body and your being are a yes for something.
Yeah.
So when our life is filled with activities, relationships, circumstances that, if we're talking consent, our body is a yes for, that's happiness.
Yeah.
And you know the difference between someone who does things out of obligation, or when you're offered something and your whole body's like, oh, I don't want to, but you do it anyway. Well, that's the opposite of congruency. That's not listening to your body's wisdom, and it's cultivating stress or flatness. Or in my first book, I call it the blurk. You know, we're like, ugh, who doubled the gravity? Ugh, everything's hard. That's when we're out of alignment with that congruency.
Yeah.
And happiness is something we don't even have to strive for. It's just kind of this natural result of being in alignment with that body, mind, heart, and soul.
Yeah.
Say yes to life.
And I think that's missing because of this social expectation of what life should be like. And, you know, I guess my life has not necessarily been typical with everyone else's, with having my own skin issues. You know, my education was, like, my tertiary education was delayed. I had to do things a bit slower. I graduated after everyone else, started working after everyone else. And all this expectation that, you know, once I finish school, I'll be happy. Once I finish uni, I'll be happy. Once I get a job, I'll be happy. Once I get married, I'll be happy. Once I get children. And it just keeps going on. And it's this timeline that society has generated will give you happiness, but not necessarily an individual perspective on happiness. Do you feel that's kind of the underlying trigger to why so many people are unhappy? Because they're not necessarily going looking for what is bringing that alignment in, but just doing what is expected of them to do.
Oh, yes, there's so many things I want to say about that. The short answer is yes. I'm not very good at short answers, so I'm going to say other stuff too.
Yeah.
It's set up that when this external thing is present in my circumstances, then I'll be happy. Mm-hmm. And I've seen that story that you just shared. I've seen it play all the way out to helping people in their 70s that thought, well, when I retire, I'll be happy.
Yes, it goes.
And then they're left with, total blurk. Like, what happened to my plan and all of that kind of stuff. So yes, it's definitely that. And it's also one of the core themes in my work is about understanding that we are all actually unique. So what my happiness recipe is going to be different to yours. So if my happiness recipe includes a whole lot of learning and a whole lot of travel and a whole lot of really deep and meaningful relationships where I'm socializing all the time, and your happiness recipe includes really being a master in a single field, knowing what you're doing and really mastering that, buying local, living local, eating local, and you find travel stressful, and you'd prefer to have two really close friends and fill a ballroom of people that you socialize with, you'd find my happiness recipe totally stressful. You'd be having to, do you know what I mean? Like, you'd be needing to get drunk before the ball just to try and manage it. Whereas I'd be in my element. That's not my care label, but do you know what I mean? I just think the idea that all of us are satisfied by and lit up by and nourished by the same thing is one of the ways that we're getting it really wrong.
And the biggest misconceptions of social media. You know, everyone is portraying this happy life. Like you said, I'm traveling the world, I've got this wonderful partner and all this sort of stuff. And a person who may not be doing that thinks they need to do that in order to attain happiness, as opposed to looking at their own recipe, what they individually want to find that will bring that congruency or happiness to their life.
Yes. So it's more like if we could approach life the way we would approach a smorgasbord at a restaurant and go, oh, wow, they seem to really enjoy that. The people next door that have, let's go social media, they've photographed it it's on Instagram. They love the look of it. They seem to have really liked it. And so you try that from the smorgasbord and you eat it and you go, bleh.
Yeah. That wasn't nice.
I like pickles, my daughter doesn't.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't like strawberries and both my kids do.
Yeah.
So if we looked at life and went, oh, that looks fun, I'm going to try it.
Yeah.
And we actually digested experiences and went, okay, well, what good came from that? Do I want to do it again? Do I not? If there's not this internal review and acceptance of our individuality, then we're just trying to do what we think should create happiness. And one of my heartbreaks, Irene, is seeing people then feel like a failure.
Yeah.
That what so-and-so over there did to create happiness didn't work for them, therefore I'm flawed.
Yeah.
Rather than understanding that they're this amazing tropical plant living in Tasmania, and so they're not thriving like the Tasmanian plants because they're actually not in the circumstances that they need to thrive.
Yeah. And you can build your whole life around that misbelief. So
Absolutely.
you can have a career in an area where you actually just did it because that was what was expected. You can, choose a partner because that was the type of partner was expected, or whatever it is. And you've built an entire life. And I think that's where the whole depression comes from, isn't it?
Look, this is quite a confronting thing to say, and I understand that it can be challenging for people to hear, but in my sort of 15 years of private practice, I have never seen a case of anxiety or depression that wasn't explainably circumstantial.
Yeah.
And when we work on those circumstances, that feedback that the body's giving, that it's out of alignment, that it needs healing, that it needs different nutrition, that it needs something else in its environment, that feedback goes away.
Okay.
And
so,
those circumstances that I'm talking about that we get feedback around, it can be childhood trauma not dealt with.
Yeah.
It can be the body's got no B vitamins or zinc. It can be that the person's in relationships where they're fundamentally disrespected and they don't have the neural pathways to know how to speak their truth with confidence. The same as they don't know how to speak Russian if no one taught them.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, on a whole combination of things. I just wanted to put a bit of clarity around that so it didn't sound as extreme. But yes, these are big, big causes of the mental health crisis that we're in.
So if someone is feeling like this, and you want to give them a couple of tools to bring their awareness around what they can do, obviously not necessarily do a whole major transformation like you help your clients, that may require some coaching for them to do that, but something that they can take with them and say, you know what, I'm not necessarily going to leave my career, but how do I seek what my recipe is? How do I identify it? Where do I kind of start looking to find what it is? Because someone might be completely oblivious to what their recipe is. So how does someone look for what ingredients make up their recipe?
Oh, that's so good. And that is what my book is all about. So if we were having this conversation in a few months, I'd go and get yourself that.
Yeah.
I want to say something about the personal development industry first of all.
Yeah.
So we kind of fall into two camps. And one is, I'll be extreme just for the sake of simplicity. One is there's nothing actually wrong. All of it is your perception of what's happening. And if you shift your perception, then problem goes away. And that I understand that in terms of, okay, something's happening and maybe someone needs to learn to communicate differently, and then their results will be different and relationships transform, and we're part of choosing our outcomes, and that's beautiful. And then the other camp is kind of, you deserve better, so leave that and move on. Or it's kind of like, if it's broken, don't fix it, let's change. So sometimes for people, what they really need to do is do their work on their side of relationships, or their side of, what can they do to feel more empowered in these life areas that they're listening to this, they're going, okay, I don't really like my career, or that relationship feels, really stresses me. And my advice to them is have a look at what you can do in these situations.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of people feel, they look at the outside world and they feel like it's fixed. So,
Like
my
there's no
husband
change.
is the way.
Yeah.
That's how he is.
Yeah.
And so I've got to do all the work to create it being different. And they miss that step where they go, darling, you know how this keeps happening?
Yeah.
I can't keep doing it that way because it's impacting how I feel about us ongoingly, and you need to know that, and I need to share it, or whatever. This is like a broad spectrum example.
Yeah, for sure.
Or if there's something happening at work because you're doing 3 people's jobs and they keep laying off staff and you're expected to do it all and you're really stressed, you can leave, or you can go, okay, well, what can I do? How clear am I being that I'm not coping? Am I just taking the work home and not telling anyone this is unsustainable? So sometimes people leave situations without doing that bit on their side, which can help change things.
Yeah.
And then there's other people who just keep doing their bit. They've said to their partner, look, I can't do this anymore. And they're like, well, this is how I am. Take it or leave it. See you later. They're not going to be doing their bit. And there comes a time where they need to go, okay, well, I do need to move on. I know I've tried everything I can.
Yeah.
And so it's hard to answer your question succinctly, because sometimes the people who are just leaving situations and changing things and blaming the outside world are missing that amazing growth that happens when they step into cause rather than living out effect.
Yeah.
And really go, okay, well, here's this situation. What can I do about it? What part's mine? How authentically am I really communicating what's going on for me? Is there a skills gap? Do I need to get some support so I can learn how to manage this relationship dance differently, whether it's professional or personal? If I'm not liking how I'm feeling in my body, what support do I need? So anytime someone asks a question, what can I do about it? What support would I need to change it? Those sorts of things, all of a sudden you're in the driver's seat of life. And that creates a shift where you're going to start looking for solutions.
Yeah.
When we're sitting in that complaining about things or not enjoying things but not knowing what to do and not seeking answers, it just is blurk, creating more blurk. And it's really hard when you feel flat. It's really hard to make good food choices or good choices around anything. You'd rather do escapism than anything else. It's hard to kind of get back into the driver's seat of life when you feel disempowered.
And I can resonate with what you're saying, because as a kid, when I had the psoriasis really bad, I was covered. And what was happening, obviously, my friends are going to be living their life. They're not required to be around me. But I made a decision. I said to myself, no one is ever going to make me like this again. And what I meant by that is, if someone is struggling, if a friend is struggling or they're hurting, I'm not going to allow that pain to enter my life. I'm going to put this nice little bubble around me and they can talk about it, but I'm not going to allow that to happen. So what essentially transpired as a result of this decision being made was that as soon as a friend got overwhelming for me, I would end that friendship. So you're talking about that whole running thing. So what I was doing, which fine, if it was you ran and didn't repeat that over and over and over, that's fine. But I was repeating it over and over and over. So what was happening was I was ending that friendship. It was too overwhelming, can't handle it, stressing me out, creating another friendship and getting myself in the exact same position. Oh, this is too overwhelming, can't handle it, going to end that friendship, move on. Someone else would come and fit that space. And it wasn't until my 40s that I realized I was doing this. And instead of staying and going, okay, so right now I'm feeling a little overwhelmed, I understand you're going through a few things, but, this is stressful, whatever, I kind of can't help you right now with this. But I would just run. Yeah. Usain Bolt had nothing on me because I was out that door thinking this is dangerous, it's going to make me sick, and if anything proposed me getting sick again, I would run really quickly. And, you know, I think that's sometimes what people do. This is getting uncomfortable. I need to leave, and not necessarily putting effort into changing those circumstances, like you're saying. So I think that's
and there's a
pure
step
gold.
before that as well. Yeah. Step before that, which also can be a little bit confronting, but we do actually train people how to treat us.
Yeah, absolutely.
From the very first date, whether it's a coffee date with a girlfriend or a date with a potential partner,
yeah,
we train people what's okay and what's not. And
yeah.
I would say, I don't have a crystal ball and we've never spoken about this before, but I would say you probably were you're so lovely and giving and all of this stuff. You probably came to relationships with all this stuff that you just innately gave.
Yeah.
So you set up the circumstances where that was the baseline normal.
Yeah, that's right.
It wasn't okay, look, I'll come to you this time, and when we catch up in a couple of weeks, how about you come my way? Like, it wasn't setting up necessarily
a give and take,
how to have it be more even or more balanced, or like I'm told it's great to spend this week with you, but then I'm going to have to spend a few weeks on those other bits, and I'm busy in my business, or just setting up that value and that respect from the beginning. And then the skills gap, when it got overwhelming, not knowing how to say to someone what you can do and what you can't do, and what you can be available for and what you can't be. So great realization. It's good to realize that, or that I'm 70 and I've just realized, so Ace.
Yeah. No, I definitely believe, 100% agree with that. I was establishing the friendship to be like that anyway. And that's why each of them were quite shocked when I would just run, thinking, what happened? Nothing else is different. But the overwhelm within me was building over that period of time.
Which they weren't aware of.
They weren't aware of, no. And I would see their phone number, their name on my phone, and I'd be like, oh, what's wrong now? You know, and I would answer it. And when it got to that point where I couldn't deal with it anymore, that's when I just said, I can't deal with it. And each and every one of them were shocked.
Yes.
And it was just because I wasn't communicating what I was comfortable with, and I wasn't establishing boundaries, and I wasn't opening up with how I felt in those circumstances. Yeah.
And they're all skills that you learn. Like I said before, like learning Russian, that's part of what I teach my clients, is the actual, what's the sentence that you say that's kind and loving but honors you?
Yeah.
So that really authentic emotional communication that honors you and them.
Yeah.
And it's also, again, the step before that, you weren't listening to your body.
Yeah.
So that congruency I was talking about before, when you saw their number, your whole being, body, mind, heart, soul, was going, please don't answer the phone. I don't have the energy for that. I'm going to have
please
to pull
don't
it
call me.
Not so much don't call me, but just owning your bit of going, okay, you've seen the number, your whole body, your congruency is a no.
Yeah.
But taking the call anyway.
Yeah.
And so the more we do that, and the more we do that, that's how you create burnout and overwhelm. Whether you're saying yes to things at work, whether you're saying yes to things in relationships, whenever we override that body's wisdom that's going, I'm a no for that. And that's a skill. Like, that's something that you need to learn, to really listen to your body. But it's perfect that you said that. Your body was going, please don't answer. And then all that programming comes in of like, oh, well, what's being a good friend? And do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That
and you know, I wasn't even aware that I was a pleaser until I had my son, who is so far from being a pleaser that I realized, oh wow, this is amazing. Like, I think and this isn't a topic about me, but I guess I see a lot of women fall into this trap of wanting to keep everyone happy and sacrificing their own needs as a result of, you know, and it's something that we learn from a very young age. Be a good little girl, do this, listen to me, whatever. And I know that a lot of it comes from safety. You know, your parents want you to be safe, so they want you to listen to them and all that sort of thing. But what they're not giving you is those tools of standing in your own space and honoring who you are, as opposed to just trying to be a good little girl.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And the reality is, as an adult, we have the free will to listen to our body's wisdom. So you can, as an adult, go, I just don't want to go to the shops today.
Yeah.
I'm going to have eggs on toast and I'm going to shop tomorrow when I'm feeling more resourced. But when a toddler doesn't want to go to the shops, they actually just have to go to the shops.
Yeah.
Like, it's not an option. So children don't have that free will, even though they're much more connected to what they do and don't want to do.
Yeah.
And it's really is a process of becoming an adult. And I kind of call it reparenting and just going, okay, it's that review I talked about before. Is this belief really working for me? When we want to achieve anything in life above ordinary, we really do need to do some review. Like, we need to kind of do a bit of an assessment. Any kind of work project, it's like you do it, you run it, and then you go, okay, what went well? What could we have done better? Kind of treating yourself like a customer and doing a little bit of a customer service feedback survey with yourself. Yeah. And that's, I have a course about cultivating real self-love and self-esteem. And that's one of the things I teach people to do in there, is just really going, okay, well, what's doing some review, some analysis. Because people tend to be very good at analysing all the ways they mess things up and how they did things badly, but it's not necessarily the kind of analysis that leads to change. It's the kind of analysis that leads to blurk, self-judgment, feeling like a loser, feeling stressed, feeling overwhelmed, rather than going, okay, well, I did the best that I can do. How, like after a call like that with your friend, going, okay, I did the best I could do. How could I have done it differently? Maybe I should have not answered the call. Maybe I should have answered the call and said, I can hear you, I love you, I'm giving you an energetic hug, but I've only got 2 minutes because I'm about to walk into something. How could I have done it differently? The kind of analysis that actually plots the path forward to something different. And that's something that we don't necessarily have. It's like speaking Russian. It's a skill and a tool. And this is, to me, why life coaching, and particularly, transformational life coaching, is giving you those skills, because you were either taught them growing up or you weren't. Yeah. So how do we take these ideas and how do we plot that path forward to create something, that's more aligned?
And is part of the lesson in being taught that is what you see, your parents do, or is it something, so someone, let's just say someone like myself who's thinking, okay, how do I raise a child to have these skills? Is it something that they will see me do, or do you actually sit down and go, over a period of time, obviously when the time is right, say to them, I noticed this, or perhaps when you're dealing with a situation like this, how do you go about teaching these skills to your children?
That's an awesome question. To me, the really core skill, so at its core, stress, anxiety, depression, overwhelm, burnout, all of these things that people struggle with, dissatisfaction, boredom, all of those things, is a disconnect from our authentic self. Okay. So I was talking before about the tropical plant planted down in Tassie, and then blaming itself for being a bit wilted. It's like, what that plant would need to do, or that, let's say that plant's a person, is just go, okay, well, what do I need to thrive? So children will tend to practice what their parents are role modeling, but your happiness recipe for deep fulfillment is going to be different to your son's. So to me, the core skill is embodiment. So like, how does that feel in your body? What does yes feel like? What does no feel like? And children do this when you hug Aunt Mary, and it's like, if they don't want to, their whole body doesn't want to. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? So making as much of that as you can. You've got to teach children about, do you know what I mean, what's politeness, and they can't just not answer when someone talks to them. And so it's, it's basic social skills, but where you can, support them to make choices. Feel into your body. Do you want a banana or an apple today? Yeah. What feels like a yes? Yeah. So it's just teaching those skills for making choices by referencing their own wisdom. Yeah. Because that's what's missing. It's not ever going to be a copy and paste of what someone else is doing. Try it, like the smorgasbord, try the apple. What do you think? Do you wish you had the banana or
Yeah.
whatever? I mean, that's a funny example, but it's just trying to understand that we're all individual, and that's wonderful. That's what community diversity is all about, and we want that. Like, diversity is what makes us have different options at the smorgasbord of life, and it's okay to be different and to think differently. I would teach your son curiosity.
Yeah.
When someone's got a different point of view, be curious about it. How interesting. You might learn something and that helps you change your mind, or you might learn that is definitely not what you believe, but how great that people have got the freedom to do things the way they want to and be the way they are. So just cultivating curiosity for himself.
Yep.
What do I feel like? I tried that? How was it? Like, sort of layering in personal review. And what feels like a yes and what feels like a no.
So I think
that help?
That's what's coming to my mind. I kind of do that, and my mum said to me the other day, I was asking him a question, because I always give him choices, and she's like, Irene, don't ask him to make a choice, you make a choice for him. And I was like, no, I want him to feel like he's part of the decision-making process. I'm not simply telling him what to do. He's actually involved in so I might say, where do you want to go today? Do you want to go to the shops, or do you want to go see Thomas? Or let's just say, well, no, don't give him a choice. Just, take him somewhere or stay home or whatever. And so I think it's, from one element, it's like different to what my, parents would have parented us, but also on the different perspective, as you said, teaching them, the social skills and politeness and all that sort of thing. There's a kind of fine line with that. So I don't believe any child should be forced to hug someone if they don't want to. So if he doesn't, I usually say, well, he's not really up to it today. He's not feeling it. He might be a bit tired.
As opposed and that way, when he does choose to hug them, it's genuine.
Yeah.
And they can enjoy those ones even more.
And my main goal for that is for him to be connected with his instinct, with his intuition, because I think from a very young age we can shut that down. So that's why I don't push that, but I think on the other perspective, not going too far is also pretty important. So it's parenting.
And that's all about embodiment and parenting. We could have 16 conversations about different aspects of parenting.
I agree, yeah.
To explain to your mum that both of the options you've given him, you're happy with both.
Yeah.
Like, do you want to brush your teeth first or have a bath first? It's like they're both things that are on your schedule.
Yeah.
You're not saying, what do you want to do today? And he can choose Disneyland.
Yeah.
So do you know what I mean? So it's actually giving him the opportunity to choose between established family activities, which is a bit different. Maybe
well, sometimes he does say Gold Coast. He wants to go to Gold Coast. No.
You've got to have a dream.
We're not going to Gold Coast. It's 9:00 at night. You're going to sleep. No, Gold Coast. So I guess with the whole smorgasbord of life comes comes a fear of failure. So I think a lot of people perhaps don't try, because if they don't succeed in that, they'll be deemed as a failure.
Awesome. So can I jump in there and say something? Awesome. So you cannot ever fail at being yourself.
Yeah.
Like, I could fail at being you.
Yes.
And good, because I'm not meant to be you, and you could fail at being me. And great, right?
Yeah.
But you can't be not confident when you're being you, because you're the one that knows how to be you, and you can't ever fail.
Yeah.
So to me, the idea of, do you know what I mean, that smorgasbord of life is, do you know what I mean, is the options. When someone's afraid of failing, they're thinking of someone else's idea of what success is, and they're also putting time limits on it in some way. So, failure is only possible if we set a time limit. And being a failure in life is only possible if we're striving for something outside of what is actually our truth.
Yeah.
Because when you're doing things that are aligned, this is why I'm so, we won't get too opinionated, but there's certain types of coaches and motivational type things that are very rah, 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 and they create a false high, and then you're into blurkville and you feel worse.
Because what?
And what I teach people is you don't ever need motivation. Don't ever need external motivation when you're doing
what you love,
what feels right.
Yeah.
You don't need motivation to call that friend that feels great to talk to.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, you don't need motivation to share what's in your heart.
Yeah.
I don't need motivation in my work because I love it. You know, so it's about, there is no failure when you're connecting with yourself. There's trial and correction.
Yeah.
It's how we learn to talk. It's how we learn to walk. It's how you can effectively use the toilet, because, you know, we tried and we learned and we tried and we learned. And that's something that adults do. They reach this point where all of a sudden trying and experimenting isn't okay. And they've got some mental loop where they're a failure if they're not instantly successful. But no one's instantly successful at driving a car, at doing anything in life that is complicated.
And what I
even
see
really messy when we're first learning.
Yeah. I failed my first driving test, so let's not get into that. But
you learned.
Went through a stop sign, so I don't go through stop signs anymore, do I?
and that was learning, so therefore it was a total success. You would have interpreted it differently when you were young.
I was devastated.
But looking back now, it's probably made you an even better driver.
I think I'm an excellent driver. But anyway, what I wanted to also make note, because I've got patients in my head as we're talking, and
fabulous.
A lot of, I'm sure it's not a disorder, but anyway, a lot of my patients, and it seems like when the decades, you know, when someone hits 40, they hit 50, they hit 60, they hit 70, their disappointment with where they're at and the expectation as to where they should be at is very confronting. You know, I'm just turned 60 and, you know, not happy with where my life's at. How do you kind of help someone? And there's words that come out like, I feel defeated, I feel deflated. What else? I'm trying to think what patients have said to me. And it is always around a birthday of a decade, you know.
Yes.
The big,
because do you know what? They're finally doing that review that I told you about.
Yes.
It's so important.
Right. Okay.
So what I would say if I was you in those situations is, this is fantastic. This is the best thing, the most useful thing that you and your body have ever shared with me. It means that you've taken a moment to really feel what's going on. And unless we do that, we never start plotting a path forward into things that are going to feel really satisfying. So when you turn that next birthday with a 0, you're somewhere totally different. So things don't change without action.
Yeah.
And the other thing that I would say, often people reach a certain age and then they do this review, but they do a certain age, and particularly for the stay-at-home parent, the one that's doing the bulk of the parenting, not necessarily stay at home anymore, the primary carer reaches an age where all of a sudden they've got, those roles are kind of done. And it's different. They're not done, but they change. Children need us less as they get older, and all of a sudden there's a whole lot of space.
Yeah.
And so when someone comes to me in that situation, I reframe that, the defeat or the flatness as, you know what? This is your body letting you know where I'm at isn't making me thrive. And now you've got the space to make you the priority.
Yeah.
This is awesome. All this stuff you're talking about is totally changeable with time and energy and effort. Like you changed the lives of your children with time and energy and effort. And now it's time for you.
Yeah.
That's actually when I get a lot of my clients, when they go, you know what, it's time for me now. And menopause is wonderful for this. It's one of the most amazing times of a woman's life where biologically she's not available anymore to be giving and prioritizing others the way that our body does when we're pregnant and we're caring.
Yeah.
It's such an amazing transition time to just go, okay, now all that energy and effort, I'm still going to be a loving partner and daughter or mum or whatever it is, but I've got this energy now to make my goals and to make me the priority. And I don't know what my happiness recipe is. I don't know what's on my care label, like the plant's got a care label. I don't know what's on my care label because my life has been about giving and being available to others. And because we don't come with a care label printed on us like a plant at Bunnings, it creates the need for self-reflection.
Yeah.
You know, what drains me? What enlivens me? What nourishes me? What do I look forward to? What do I wish there was more of? Those kinds of reviewing questions so that you can make decisions about, well, let me look at what I'm prioritizing, and is any of that the stuff that makes me be like, yes? And what can we do about that moving forward?
So this is just...
Did that answer your question?
Yeah,
so to me, it's
I
great
think,
thing when that happens.
yeah, I think the whole evaluation is what really resonated with me, because the people that I'm thinking of in my mind have never evaluated. So that conversation presented, obviously because they were evaluating, and no, I didn't realize that was happening, so I didn't really know what to sort of say. And
well, I hope that's useful.
Yeah. Well, what I'm going to say in future is get Iesha's happiness recipe, because, you know, I think reading something's always beneficial. I find reading very beneficial to change my mindset, to switch it. And like you said, I've personally had a few different coaches, and I think it's finding the right one, you know,
absolutely
that resonates with what, you know. You can also get into that trap of this person helped so and so and they're thriving, and then you just see them and go, no, it's not resonating with me. So I think choosing the right person is really important too. So
sorry, I'll butt in there for 1 second. Most coaches, and certainly I do, have a discovery session that I allow an hour for before someone pays me a cent. Like I do not, you know, it's an investment in yourself to see someone like me, and I always do that first kind of 45 minutes. I allow an hour in the calendar to just go, okay, what's happening, and make sure that we're a good fit. Because I'm not going to be right for everyone, and everyone's not going to be right for me. And all the coaches I know do that. So certainly if someone's watching, that's so worth exploring. And people tend to leave those discovery sessions with, you know, some good takeaways. And they've invested nothing but their time. And I think that's really important, to find people that do that before you hand out a big chunk of money, because Shane got such a great result. Just really connect with yourself and ask whatever questions you want, so you go in comfortable.
And I totally agree. And I think even in our profession, I always say, sometimes I have patients move into state and they're always concerned who am I going to find to keep my treatment going. And I always say, ring them, chat to them on the phone. Oh, what if they don't give me time? Well, then they're not the right person. You know, find someone, they're not for you. So find someone that will give you that period of time to chat to. So, okay, if people are wanting to connect with you and find out if you're a great fit for them and vice versa, how can they reach you?
Oh, lots of ways. So my website is myname.com. So IeshaDelune.com, Iesha Delune. My email address is my first name, Iesha@IeshaDelune.com. So once you've got the spelling, you've got what you need. LinkedIn is a great way to connect. Facebook is a great way to connect. So just if you're on those platforms, just put that IeshaDelune into the search engine, and you'll come up with me. Obviously on the website, if anyone wants to join the mailing list, which obviously we all know is very easy to unsubscribe to if you decide you want to, there's a free giveaway that I get when people sign up to my website, which is 8 video lessons about your happiness recipe. So it takes the concepts we've talked about and deep dives into lots of different areas. So that might be something people want to have a bit of a check out to get to know me a little bit better, or just go right ahead and book in for a discovery session. Either of those is fine.
Yeah. So, and I think it's those videos are a great way for people to identify more about themselves, and probably be more equipped when they do the discovery session, knowing what they need to retrain their brain to do.
Yeah, your perfect wording. Yeah, so they'll have done a little bit more review and be aware of where either the skill gap is that we were talking about before, or be more aware of what they're not aware of. Like, I just don't even know about that about myself.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, because that's the biggest thing, isn't it? That you can't address what you don't know needs addressing. You just feel it feels off, but you don't necessarily know that that's something that needs shifting. It's been amazing. It's been awesome. Thank you so much for your time. I'm going to have you.
That's my pleasure. Thank you. I could talk to you all day long.
Yeah, I know. I'm going to after we finish, I'm going to book you in for another one, because I think it's really important for people to just have that resource of self-discovery and reassessing where they're at and where they want to be and what's going to get them there, and whether that's the true self who wants to get there, or some other messages of in their head. So I think to be one at peace, and that means physically their body being healthy, their mind and their spirit needs to be at ease as well. So it's been very informative. I even now have some tools to help my patients in bringing their awareness. So that's really been awesome. And I thank you for your time. And please check out Iesha Delune's multitude of social media and also the great videos that you do, because I think that's a great way for people to get started and really delve into what it means to be content and happy and just enjoy the life that we've got. Only got one life. Enjoy it.
Yeah, and you know what? We're actually all magnificent.
Yeah.
We're amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's such a beautiful side effect of this work, is getting people to really land in their own brilliance, however that shows up.
Yeah. Yeah. And having those gems presented and going, it makes total sense. They're the moments that I love.
Any bits of that or anything else. So it'd be great to talk to you. Thank you for having me on.
Thank you. Like I said, I could talk to you all day. So, but yeah, I'll be in touch and we'll have you on again.
Fantastic. So, thank you. Have a great day.
You too. Now, bye. So that's Salubrious Skin with Dr. Irene. That's the episode, The Happiness Recipe with Iesha Delune. Be sure to catch other episodes. And if you have any questions, email me at info@salubre.com.au, or leave some comments below and share your thoughts of where you're at, where you want to be, and any questions you might have for me or Iesha. Please forward them through. I'll see you at the next episode of Salubrious Skin with Dr. Irene.